Hello my friends, welcome to the metal shop. Today, trying to get a couple of the last little projects wrapped up here, which I've been talking about. These items here need to mount to the inner wheel wells of the car, so I've been waiting to do these projects. And what we have here is, this is the footwell, the fresh air vents that I'm going to duct into the footwell. This kit came from Finish Line, and I've showed you before we have the Bowden pull cable flappers installed in the firewall, but we need to get the ducting up to them. So this part here will mount right here in the opening for the brake ducts, and it will mount up against the aforementioned wheel well panel, the fender lining there. And I'll show you after, once we get into the wheel well, and I'll take the wheels off. And I've glued in with a JB Weld some of those Revotec fasteners to the fiberglass, the same things that I use to mount the side vents. And those Revotec come from McMaster Car, and if you're building a fiberglass car, they're going to become your best friend, because there's times where you need to bolt something to the fiberglass and you cannot drill through. You don't want, a screw head sticking out through the outside. So we have this, we have the super nice ducting, which is high heat and it's reinforced. Really nice. I bought these clamps from McMaster Car. I don't know how many I got. I got like 8 or something. I'm probably only going to use, 4 maybe. It might only be 2 just to hang this, just because of the nature of how it mounts. It will hook here. I'm going to need a clamp up above the wheel, but then it goes right into the wheel well opening there. And then it will mount to this. And these are the Revotec inline fans, and I bought these from Merlin Motorsport in the UK. And these are a really nice piece. I looked at the packing stuff, I couldn't remember how much they were, and it was like, I think 160 something British pounds. So I think it's about $200 roughly. So they're expensive, but they're much nicer than most guys I've seen doing these projects are buying marine fans from Tractor Supply or from Amazon or from whatever. They're white, and there's better quality ones, there's lesser quality ones, but I wanted, this is what they're intended for, for English sports cars, for a vent fan. They're expensive, but they're worth it. These are steel, they're powder coated, they're black, they're not a plastic marine fan, and I don't, you could get the same $200 white plastic marine fans if you want, but they're still a white plastic marine fan under your engine compartment. These are really nice, and I will include a link to these in the description, and I will include a link to the Finish Line fresh air vent kit. I'm also installing the Lucas wind tone horns. Now these things are giant. These are the original horns. There's a high tone and a low tone, so there's going to be one on each side. They are huge, and I'm having a hard time finding room for everything because of the tires in the wheel well. I fabricated these little brackets. This was just a piece of angle iron that I cut and drilled and so on. This will mount to an existing bolt in the frame, and then bolt to this little bracket here that's already on the fan. But I'm having problems with the room because the wheel is it's close to rubbing them. And I also have this issue here that I ran into where, sorry, that's pretty, a lot of sunlight there. But anyway, the wheel's hitting the inner fender lining here. And that's not, for a change, that's not a problem caused by street beasts. I mounted those wheel wells, sorry for all the mess. The wheel wells mount over the A-arms, and they have to be in a certain spot. They hook to each other, where they go up against the front of the car and the back of the car, and they have to leave room for those A-arms, so they're designed to mount in a certain spot. And I was even worried that I put the one on this side too far back, but the wheels still rub on it. And what that's a symptom of is big wheels and big tires. The Street Beast kit, actually, they do you a favor. They include, Mustang 2 Granada spindles and brakes, which are small, so you can run the 15-inch small wheels with large tires on them if you want. My car came with these 17-inch wheels, which are bigger. You could run big brakes now, it's a trade-off, and he's got pretty big tires. I can't remember what they are in the front. I think they're 235s. They're big. They rub. So what I'm probably going to do is after the exhaust is installed, I'm going to fab up a bracket to hold to that inner wheel well, and it will mount to the frame, and I will pull it back as much as I can and bolt it to that frame to try and get it out of the way there. It just is what it is. The wheels are on temporarily just so that I can kind of mock everything up, make sure there's enough room for the vent tubing, make sure there's enough room for those giant horns. So give a pause, we'll take the wheels off, and you can rejoin me once we start mounting this stuff up. Yikes. All right, so got the horns installed. You can see the driver's side right there, and there is the little bracket that just hooked to the frame. This took a lot longer than I'd planned on, really like 2.5 hours, I'm a bit embarrassed to say, but you'll be able to see why here. If you can tell, there's the oil cooler line. Just look at the amount of space there is right there between the horn and the radiator and this oil cooler line, and the amount of daylight you can see there. It's quite a bit. Then we go over to this side where I started, and there's nowhere near the amount of space. This line is really pinched in there. The horn is closer, and that's because this whole thing isn't, the body mounted to the frame isn't quite square, and yeah. So anyway, you can see that I had to oblong this bracket, oblong the hole so I could slide the horn a little bit out of the way there. And if you look here, you'll see the clearance that we have between the horn and the tire. It's not that much. It's enough. But yeah, that was the whole consideration there. Sorry, that's really hard to see. I wish we could see it better there. But you crank the wheel, and the gap is much better on the other side, on the driver's side, than this one is. So it is what it is. The hole isn't, that little bracket's not slid all the way to the front of the car on that hole. I could move it a little bit if I had to. So there are the horns, and I'm not sure if I'm going to start tackling the footwell cold air or not right now. I guess we'll see. All right, so sorry I didn't take you long. Got the scoops mounted here, and again, it was just, I drilled into that inner panel there with some stainless steel screws, 1024 bolts, and nylock nuts. I try and use stainless whenever I can. There's a bug on my screen. And I'll show you, and I'm using, the T-bolt clamps here because, again, I'm only building one car, and you should use stainless grade 8, T-bolt clamps. Use the best that you possibly can. I mean, if I was running a Cobra kit car factory, I'd use less expensive parts, that would save me, $20, $30 per unit, but not the case. So let's go into the wheel well here, and I'll show you. Kind of going to jump on the hose here. You can see there's the back side of that scoop, and there you can see that Revotec fastener that I glued to the fiberglass right here. And here, I've showed you guys these before, but here is what they look like. It's really, hang on, sorry, terrible camera work, but there's what they look like. And all these holes, and you can bend them and cut them, and it glues in place, and it gives you a stud. And I used these before when I did the vents right there, and I used the, I'm not sure these are 1 inch. I think the other ones, I end up using all 1/2 inch. I would recommend getting the 1/2 inch. The stud is more than long enough. I use the 1/2 inch studs for both sides here and for the vents. So I got a little bit of hose run there, and oh yeah, there's the super nice stainless T-bolt clamp. A couple of cushion clamps to existing holes that I had, bolts that were holding these inner panels in place. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to mount the Revotec fan. Sorry for the shadow. I'm going to mount the Revotec fan up in here, and it's going to bolt right to this this fender well, this bulkhead, and then I just need a short length of hose to get to the flapper valve inside the cabin. But I'm giving up for the night. I'm about 6 hours in or so. I really didn't feel like I accomplished that much, but there we can get a nicer look at the horn as well. That one's pretty nice. And then you see the oil cooler line tucked in there. And so yeah, we're gaining. I'll show you a little bit more of the progress. Tomorrow's Sunday, football day, so I don't know if I'll get anything done, but yeah, join me soon. All right, cool. All right, so here we are at the passenger side. There is the Revotec fan mounted up there in the corner. That's a giant pain because you're reaching under here, you're reaching around the back side, trying to line up 4 blind screws to bolt that thing, you know, through the little firewall or whatever you want to call it, the wheel well there. Oh my goodness. And there you'll see, so we're going to connect here to there just like we did on the other side. Stand by one. We'll go have a quick look on the other side. Oh, actually, I can show you one thing first. What a giant other pain that I'm having here, and that is, this is the tubing that came with the kit from Finish Line. And the problem that I ran into, I'm going to put the phone down for 1 second, stare at my shorts, is when you cut this, this has an inner lining which appears to be glued in place. When you cut it, this inner lining collapses and makes it almost impossible to easily put this on to any type of round surface, because you've got an inner lining you're trying to get on there, and then this outer. I mean, this is a nice factory end right here with no problems, but I guarantee when I cut it, just like on the other side, it's gonna collapse. So hold on 1 second, we'll go look at the other side. The driver's side. So we get the hose run, a couple of cushion clamps. You'd think this would be simple, but here, can you see this hose is kind of bung up a little bit? I don't know if you can see that or not, but there's that inner lining. So you stretch that out first, and then you try and get this hose over that in the car. It was a real fight. One tip, don't have any extra, because when you're trying to crush it, it makes it absolutely impossible. I realized that. I cut off the excess that I thought that I could just collapse. No, forget it. Make it the length that you need and go like that. So I don't know. I'm going to call Taylor at Finish Line. Hopefully this works, because I have, excuse me while the old man gets up here. I have to connect in here. Just follow me upside down. There's the fan. Connect down there below the, there you can see it. Below the steering column, we've got to connect there. You know, with a short length of hose. I mean, I'll get it from underneath, but if the hose stayed nice and round and that inner lining stayed, you know, the way it's supposed to be, and the spring wants to uncoil, I mean, it's a nightmare. You know, this is what you get. You know, something that should be at the WD-40, because I use it to lube up that fitting, the fan fitting there to slide it on. You know, stuff that should be simple. I figured I'd come out here in a couple hours and bang this entire thing out. It's not the case. Not even close. This is extremely difficult, and it really doesn't need to be. But like everything with this car, and the size of the car really hurts too. Everything is so small. You know, you're fighting the room that you have for all of this stuff, and yeah, it's a fight. Worth it in the end, I hope. Right. So, got the project wrapped up. The fresh air vents, kind of difficult to see there. I'm reaching over the car so you can see that. That is the passenger side. Came out pretty good. I had just barely enough of that ducting, probably because of that. You know, I lost 5 or 6 inches that I smashed by really trying to twist it on in the driver's side fender well that I showed you earlier. The key is, and this, of course, you just get better at it. I coated the you know, the metal fitting with WD-40, and I coated the inside of the pipe, and you just kind of work it and it plopped right on so easily. If I had done that, it just would have been, you know, Bob is your uncle. I got them wired up as well. You can see the wiring there, zip tied to that tube. I can't demonstrate it, the battery isn't hooked up or anything like that, but let's take the briefest of pauses and we will check out the driver's side. All right, so there's the driver's side. I'm actually sitting up on the car here to get you this shot. Oh, what I won't go through for my faithful viewers. Anyway, there you can see that. Came out pretty good. So yeah, this has been the fresh air vent kit, at least the latter half of it. I did the old flappers quite a while ago. I think I did a video on that. This is just installing the ducting and the Revotec fans into the fender wells. And I will include links to this. The kit came from Finish Line, Revotec motors from Merlin Motorsports in the UK. What else? And I'll include a link to the horns, those giant Lucas wind tone horns you remember we installed. If you guys want to install era period correct parts on your Cobra kit car like mine. Oh, look, did I show this? I think I already did. Got the hood stay mounted on too. That had to bolt on to that inner fender well as well. So anyway, thanks for watching, my friends. Truly appreciate your support. Hope you are enjoying this series, my fellow Cobra builders and Cobra enthusiasts out there. Please, if you're new to the channel, give me a subscribe. Please hit the like. It really helps. Hit me up in the comments with any questions or criticisms or whatever you would like. I still respond to all my comments, and I truly appreciate your support. All right, my friends, take care. Cobra.